Hello. Welcome to the project, Freedom and AI.
If you found your way to this content via Google or some other search engine, artificial intelligence played a role, like in our everyday lives. In this episode, we will speak about AI and content.
Content recommendation and ranking are two extremely important tools for platforms. They help them structure this massive amount of data that is generated and uploaded every minute. And in order to provide this structure, platforms tailor the content we are shown based on our profile, which is why this is called personalization, because it's made for an individual. But they also structure it according to a set of goals the platform has set for itself. This goal is usually some idea of how the user should interact with the ecosystem of the platform. For example, content should increase user engagement. That's pretty standard.
Social media has become our identity. We create immeasurable amounts of data. Where there is data, there is AI and machine learning. For example, on Facebook, we use AI for face verification, wherein machine learning and deep learning concepts are used to detect facial features and to tag friends. Deep learning is used to extract every minute detail from an image by a use of a bunch of deep neural networks. And on the other hand, machine learning algorithms are actually used to create that customized feed that we all get exposed to. And that's the explanation behind the fact that each of us has a different feed that's being exposed to in Facebook.
Basically, whatever you like, you get it all around you, and you keep getting those recommendations, which sometimes they're very useful, of course, but they create this false sense of reality. So you, even with the comments of the news, it's maybe some people do not realize, but when you look at certain piece of news on the social media, let's say again Facebook, and you open the comments and another person opens the comments, you see different ones, and it depends on what you actually like or dislike, because what is the goal there? It is to interact with the news. So of course it doesn't mean that you see the comments that you agree with. It can be quite the opposite, the one that you would actually be infuriated about and start typing. So those echo chambers, they don't really help media pluralism, in my opinion, but it doesn't mean that it's the algorithm fault. It's just how they are made. But they can make they could be made the other way. They could be made in a way that actually they promote media pluralism. It's just the goal that stands behind the algorithm that's important.
The majority of algorithms have set out logical sequences in which every step is pre-programmed by a human programmer. So with a given input, there will always be the same output. Increasingly, we're now seeing algorithms which use a degree of artificial intelligence, typically a technology called machine learning, where the algorithm has the ability to change and to update itself and to learn in such a way that the human isn't always necessarily making the decisions for the program. The program is making some decisions of its own. How does this interact with the internet and our rights? Well, a lot of what happens on the internet is determined not by humans sitting in an office somewhere, but rather by algorithms. So things like search engine results, things like translation on the internet, that doesn't happen by a human telling you what results you should have. It happens by algorithms automatically. And those algorithms can have a tremendous effect on the way that we see the world. For example, if you are shown some search results and not others, you may not have any access, or you may not have an easy way of reaching the information which could otherwise have been found.
Unfortunately, having algorithms helping to filter hate speech often tends to discriminate exactly disadvantaged groups in first place again. So it's very complex to have automatic systems filtering hate speech. And I don't think it's easy to actually, I think there might be cases that are very clear, but there will be a lot of gray cases and shades of gray cases where it's not 100% clear whether something falls into hate speech is not, and needs to be decided by maybe future algorithms, but also have a human oversight.
Freedom of expression, right to freedom of expression, is about the right to see and receive information without frontiers. And this is heavily impacted by the artificial intelligence or algorithm systems. When you go online and what you see on your social media feed or what you see on your search engine is not all the information that is available for you out there. It's only a sliver of information which the companies curate for you based on the algorithms and based on those predictions make value.
The thing is to actually build an opinion ourselves and to take informed decisions. This requires that we have a pluralistic media and a possibility to get different opinions and views. And this is exactly what is not happening currently on social media platforms and other content moderation platforms who have actually the goal of keeping you there and showing you the content that keeps you on a platform so that you actually stay there, and that's how they generate money basically.
The issue of fake news or disinformation is really a complex problem. First of which is that you really need a definition of what is fake news. And here the problem is often the fact that the companies and states are deciding what is fake and what is news. So defining what is this fake news content is a problem to begin with. The second one is this problem of the clickbait, is that the companies want you to click and spread the content which has a possibility of getting viral. So the algorithms are set to draw people into this content. The content which is often misleading, which is often outright false, but also the content which is sometimes like legitimate reporting.
I think AI can be dangerous for freedom of speech if we talk about it in the context of fake news. But if we talk about creating an algorithm that can show you that this may be a fake news and other related news that are on the subject that are saying the opposite or saying something else, so the user can have a choice to what to read on that subject, that is something I believe can encourage free speech.
The platforms, they don't care about the human rights. They don't care about individuals being informed, making good decisions. They just care about keeping you on the platform and delivering results to the companies paying to target you, basically. So, or political parties. So that's a huge problem. And I think it's the opposite of media pluralism. It's actually controversy and a huge problem to quality newspapers and journalists who are trying to inform objectively the audience and the population to make sure that they can take the right decisions.
What is the main problem is the fact that when you live in a bubble, you do not have a free choice, because you do not know what it is free choice. You do not know what reality this is. That is why it's very important to, from a regulatory perspective, to impose that every user should have 30 or 40% of the content he sees as a natural content, whatever comes, without being preferenced, without being filtered in any way for him. I think that a way of transposing AI into human rights is giving a choice for the user, and doing so we can do this by setting a limit.
Platforms, they have some responsibility to help the greater the greater society here, but they're designed to optimize for usage, right? So if you're Facebook and if you're not giving people what they want to see, they're not going to use your platform, right? So there's a conflict. There's a conflict between doing the right thing and doing the thing that makes most sense for that business. Facebook exists to make money. They make money off of ads. So the more you're on that platform, the more you're using it, the more money they make, right? So everything kind of ties together. And at this point, without there being policy changes, without there being regulations, without kind of an overstep and an overarching committee that's overseeing these things, you're going to have a situation where it's kind of like the Wild West.
We're living in a world now where it's getting harder and harder to know truth and to know about trust. And this is the great opportunity for CEOs, I think, of all sorts of size of companies this decade to decide where they stand. They've got market forces leaning in on them, and they've got regulation and compliance leaning in on them, particularly when it comes to developing platforms around artificial intelligence and the use of data. They've got individuals that work for them that have their own sense of accountability and responsibility, how they want to do their job, how they want to develop systems and use data. And all of these are the stick, if you like. But in the middle of that is this carrot, which is that they have a choice about what kind of company they want to be and the culture they want to create. And if companies can do that a lot earlier, they won't be stuck between the rock and the hard place that Jack Dorsey was, where he's saying, well, do we block freedom of speech or do we block hate speech? Which is the right answer? Well, of course, there isn't a right answer. You've got to have a company that means you don't get to the point where you're having to ask yourselves an impossible question without an answer. You've got to create a culture where these kind of ideas, they just don't get any oxygen. They don't get any attention. People just don't gravitate to them because of the kind of organization that you are. And that looks to me like a company that builds in trust by design and privacy by design into everything they do, but particularly in their use around data and developing machine learning and deep learning models. So that's this crossroads we're at. We want to move to a world where not only do cybersecurity professionals talk about zero trust, but everybody talks about zero trust when it comes to the use of data and AI. And it's going to be very exciting to steer that path.
In the next episode, we will speak about AI and data. In the meantime, check our website, www.freedomandai.com.